Okay, so I've wasted most of this weekend working on the Jeeps, maybe. I'm gonna spend a little bit of time here on the Cricket. Get to work on those spot welds up high. These guys up here. Those ones and those ones. Gotta cut that. Get that out of the way so I can get to these spot welds here. And then I gotta finish drilling these. I'm just gonna drill them out. It's kind of a waste of time to drill the spot welds clean. I need to drill through them. Maybe, at least in the corners I do. So, time to get busy on that. Maybe I can get that done. That way I can say I did something. And here we are. We've got that weld, and then these to drill. And then a row of them. I guess I don't actually have to weld. No, I can leave those. These ones have to be drilled on both sides. So once I get through with those, this piece ought to come out. And then done. And then I gotta go to the other side. Have to do a little hammer and dolly work, obviously. Bend this little flange back down. One thing when I clean up this edge here on both sides, you know, because the gap left by the blade cutting, this is going to actually slide back very slightly. I don't think it'll affect anything. We got a headliner rod there, but I don't think 1/8 of an inch is going to affect it, 1/16 of an inch. But that way I can just butt weld it and be good. Alrighty, time to get turned around and get on the other side. Oh, no, first I gotta do that. Then I'll get turned around and get on the other side. Okay, got it off. Now you can barely see it here, right there. Right there. And then you can see the little spot. Right there. It's a hidden one behind those, which is really interesting. They spot welded it in, and then they put this over it, and then they put the other piece over it. Layers upon layers upon layers upon layers upon layers. Yeah. I'd be disappointed in myself if I was going to be using this panel, but I'm not. So this panel here goes from around the windshield, right? The inside of the windshield frame. And it's brazed here. So it goes under the skin, and then it forms the outside of the A-pillar. So it's going to be a little interesting to do on that car. Probably not a lot interesting, but on the other side here, I'm going to have to cut off a little more of it. My drill bits are getting dull because of the rust that's here. I'm going to have to cut it off up here. But I think I'll get up on this side, get it drilled, and yeah, get it drilled, and that'll probably be it for today. Okay, here we are. It is Tuesday. It is cold. It's 40 degrees outside, but we've got a wind chill of 20. The wind is blowing like hell. It's been rainy, miserable. It's like Washington weather finally caught up to me out here. I'm getting a real late start here on the Cricket. It's about 3 o'clock. Let me show you what I've got to do today. So I need to get these windows out. So once I pop these guys out, I'll take this screw, and I don't think the trim comes off. I think you leave it on. Before I do any of that though, I need to get this thing stabilized. I need to get some jack stands under the back here. Pop these windows out, then I can get the headliner out the rest of the way. Get that stuff all put away. And then I need to get down here and clean up all these edges. Get the grinder out, get the stripping wheel out, get the stuff all cleaned up so it can be the new metal welded on there. Once all that's done, like this here, Once all that's done, then this is officially done as far as the strip down goes. I can go jump over on the other car and start on it. Hopefully I can get this done today. I don't know, we'll find out, but I'm gonna get started. Well, it didn't really go the way I wanted it to, but so as I'm prying the seal up, it's basically breaking off on the inside. It's so dried out. So I just cut it. So the good news and the bad news. The good news is there is no rust in this pinch weld or this window channel. Nothing, right? But there's a shit ton of this black butyl duct seal, whatever you want to call it. Stuff that gets off, sticks to your fingers. So there'll be some cleanup involved, but you know, I wanted to try to save the seal just in case. Throw some silicone in the cracks. That guy right there. But it's not gonna happen. So I'll jump over and do the other side now. I got the headliner hanging. I should be able, once I clean this stuff off, to start pulling it the rest of the way out of there once I get this other glass out. So off to the next one. Oh, look at all that nice shiny metal. So what I'll do is come through here and spray all these flanges with weld through primer. And I'll spray inside here with cold galvanizing compound. It's almost the same thing, it's just the binders are different. The weld through primer, you know, they're both heavy zinc. With weld through primer, the binders are real thin, so that way they don't really interfere when you're welding. They burn off real quick. Where cold galvanizing compound, the binders are heavy because it's actually a paint. So I've also made a decision, a change, if you will. So these B-pillars are really rusty down here, real thin. You can see where it's rusted through. And then, you know, this is not real super deep, but it's, you know, pitting, whatever. But all of this is rusted through and really thin. And then down there along that edge is really thin. You see how much rust is there, and that's after I cleaned it. Same thing going on this side. So what I'm going to do, first I got to make sure that these door latches are going to fit the 71 B-pillar. If they do, then I'm going to have to drill up here, cut this weld, drill those spot welds, and we'll use the B-pillar off the 71 sedan because there's nothing wrong with it, and these ones are pretty bad, I guess. That's a pretty high strength area, and I don't want to trust it to being real thin. Get the headliner out. We lucked out on the rust. I mean, there's some surface rust there, maybe some minor pitting, little mouse nest. That hook right there was a pain in the ass, and we put a few more real small cracks in that headliner getting it out of there, but I don't know what's going to happen with it. So I've got this spray that comes from SEM, and SEM products are all about painting vinyl, you know, fabric, carpet, mostly just like if you want to recolor your interior, you just spray paint it all with this stuff. Pretty expensive stuff. But somewhere I've got this, it's like a primer for painting your seats, your vinyl, and it's supposed to soften the vinyl, and it works. I sprayed it on the courier seat, and you know, the vinyl was kind of stiff, like leather, old leather, and now it's all pliable like new. So I'm gonna spray that entire thing down and clean it really well first. Spray that entire thing down with that stuff, especially around all the edges where it's crispy, and hopefully it'll help. And then I'll take, I know at work we sell a vinyl repair kit, but I think it's just made for fixing small holes in seats, little cigarette burn or something. I'll have to look at it first. But I know they make a pool inflatable patch kit, you know. It's basically, that's what this headliner is made out of, same stuff. It smells just like a floaty or something from a pool. I might try that out too, try the adhesive part and see if I can, because I've got another sedan headliner. I got two actually, and they're both really crunchy. But in the middle, they're pliable, and I saved them to make a pattern, but I could probably cut a little patch out of it, glue it to the back side of the crack, and then when I color everything, you know, you'll be able to see it if you look for it, but it won't be as bad as having a big, huge crack, and it won't continue to tear, hopefully. Then I can take my soldering iron and go to the edge of the crack and kind of burn through it. Like you drill a crack in a piece of metal, maybe it'll have the same result, I don't know. I did do that on dashboards before where they're cracking in the corners where you couldn't see, and I drilled the end of the crack, and they haven't spread yet in the Volvo, but you know, we will see. So I'm gonna get back on this, finish up what I've got to finish up here. I still need to do right there, around all there, inside and out. I need to finish up the same thing on that side. I need to finish up, I gotta do some hammer and dolly first and clean this area up and get it stripped down all along those edges there. Same thing on this side. I need to get that stripped all along here. So, I mean, realistically, I've got 10, 15 minutes worth of work, I think. 20 minutes worth of work. And then, I guess we'll probably be done for the day. Maybe. I don't know. It's still too cold to work on the sedan. So on the sedan, what I need to do is, first thing I got to do, get underneath it, pull the drive shaft, pull there's no parking brake cable, but I got to pull the fuel line, I got to pull the brake line. Get them dropped down out of the way. I got to cap the brake line, even though I don't know if I can actually use it, but still, get all that stuff out of the way. And then I can go and I got to pull the struts off the front half of the wagon, put them back on the sedan, or put them on the sedan, and make it roll. Once it can roll, I'll get it put here into position. I'm just going to back it up to the bay here and leave enough room to get the rear trunk out of the way. And sawzall the roof. I'm going to cut it probably right through here. That way I'll have plenty of meat and I'll be able to deal with it on my own. And then when I cut the back, I'll have to cut it way up here. I'll probably go in line with this and just chop it straight across on both sides. And then I can clean up and remove the metal however I need to. And then over here in this corner, I'll cut it in between these spot welds in the frame rail. Put them right up the middle there. I'll probably actually weld it. No, I'll probably weld it outside here over the top of everything. Because that one I actually cut right down the middle. So do that way, it'll cover all that back up, I think. So that's where we're at. So that's where we're at on this. Tonight I should be able to have this car done as far as the metal work and drilling and cutting and whatever. And then tomorrow hopefully I can get the thing a roller and get it in position by the end of the day because I have class. So I'm going to do some real rough cuts on it too. Probably cut it around the A-pillar so I can clean it up after the fact. And then I clean all the other metal, but I can wheel it in here and do it in here under this roof section and know where everything's going to be and kind of, you know, slide it into position. Okay, I need to do a little more cutting. Okay, you know, pull it back out and go back and forth until the job is done. But I'm going to get back to work on this car and I'll talk to you when I'm finished. Okay, got the weld through coating on there. So ideally what we would do is whatever holes are in the panel on that car, you know, like this. You got all the holes drilled in it, on the floorboard. So we would line it up, and wherever the hole is, we'll remove this stuff, just that spot, and then weld it. Ideally, at least in modern cars that are all computer done, these spot welds should all line up. So you take it, you drill a hole where this is, like a brand new panel, you drill out all the spot welds with a spot weld cutter, and then where these are sticking up, you would drill a hole, and then you'd line them up, and then you'd weld it. Or like in mine, the hole should have lined up, but because nothing's consistent on this thing, nothing lines up. But anyway, that's what we've done there. So I still got a little bit of grinding to do there, and then I'll put some down. But up inside a little bit, down around everywhere where there's going to be a welded joint, all along there, has been done. I didn't do anything here because I'm not sure. I don't think it's going to overlap this way. I think it's going to go on the inside, but we'll find out. So this other project I'm doing, let me show you. Now I saw this on a TikTok video or something, but they had what looked like stadium seats in a stadium, and where the plastic had gotten kind of chalky, you know, kind of dried out and chalky like this. They hit it with a torch, like with a huge torch, the ones you use for burning weeds. I almost call it a rosebud tip, but they did that, and it basically melted all the plastic. Or I should say it melted the weak plastic, the dried out stuff that would normally scratch off. Here, we'll do this where you can't really see. See, these dead layers of plastic, they just flake off. So they hit it with a torch, and it essentially melted all this stuff back to life. We're going to give that a try, but I wanted to show you now what I've been doing, because I don't think there's any way to save that. It's like this. I sandblasted it. And so you lose some of the detail, some of the texture. I mean, it's dirt. You have to wash all the sand off of it, but you see, you can paint that now. You don't have that dead layer of plastic anymore. But as you can see, it's kind of, you know, it's not very, I don't know if consistent's the word I'm looking for or not, but it's, you know, the edges here aren't very uniform, and they get kind of thin. The other thing you can do is a wire brush, but then that puts brush scratches, you know, the striation scratches into it. But when I get these cleaned up before I paint them, I'll show you what I'm talking about. And I've done this on several of the other Crickets. It seems like the black plastic holds up, where all these other colors do not. No, the worst ones I've seen are the white ones. Okay, so let's give this a try. Kind of hard to do with one hand, but we're going to attempt it anyway. I don't think there's anything down here to burn except that receipt. Goes. Holy crap, this looks just like what I saw in the video. I figured if this panel got damaged, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I don't want it to. I don't like losing parts even when they're mediocre. But I can survive. I think I've got a couple of spares of these that are in equally bad condition. You can see it's warping, but I think that'll straighten out when it cools. But I might take this to the sandblaster tonight at school anyway, just to make damn sure it's uniform, it's consistent with all the other panels. And this one wasn't as bad as some. Okay. Ooh, that's really warped. It seems to be kind of chilling out here. Forgive the camera, I gotta hold this thing. Get it to cool off. Just throw it outside where it's 20 degrees. Speaking of that, today's another miserable day. It didn't rain, as I could tell. But the wind chill's way down, and it's cold, and it's really windy, and it's really miserable. So I didn't get done what I wanted to get done today. I did get a few things done though. I got, let's see, it's definitely warped. Throw this thing out here in the cold. What I did is I chopped a big chunk of the floor off of this thing. What's left of it, so I can move this out of the way and have this free. I need to clean this up. I gotta move this truck back. I haven't touched that yet. Okay, so preliminary thoughts are that I warped the shit out of it. And it might be okay. And it sounds crunchy as I bend it. Now we do the scratch test. My God. Look at that. Okay, so here's what I figured out. What happened was it apparently melted the very top layer of that plastic. So all the stuff underneath it is still dead, still flakes off. So if you bend it, it kind of cracks. You can hear it kind of. So I suppose it could work. I mean, you could paint it, but it's like most of the texture, the detail is kind of melted away. We're sandblasting, some of it's etched away, and it puts a little bit of texture in it as well. I still think the sandblasting is a little better, but yeah, that's what we're gonna do anyway. Plus, you don't have to worry about warping the panel. And there's all this stuff that needs to get blasted tonight. Alrighty, I just wanted to show you guys my results from the sandblasting last night. So, you can see here that there's still some texture. So I'll be able to sand and paint this. Or I won't sand it, but what I'll do is take a brass wire brush and just kind of go in circles so the brass won't cut into the plastic too much. You can actually do this with the plastic rotten, but it takes a lot more work. But it came out pretty good. Now, I want to show you downside. Looks like there's a cigarette burn right there. So downside is you'll get to things like this, like there must have been something stuck to it that was enough to block the sun. That thing. So it's enough to block the sun, which means the sun didn't rot it, like this corner right here. And here's a better example. So see, we still have the detail. It's not as sharp like this edge here wouldn't have been exposed to the sun. So you can see this is where the edge of the other panel sat over the top of this. So there's a definite drop here. You see the detail here is really nice. Detail there isn't quite so nice, but it's there. You might also notice here there's a change, there's a drop, and there's kind of this little pattern change here. This is where the seatbelt sat on, so it blocked the sun. And there, perfect example. Something sat on top of this thing and it blocked the sun, a sticker or something maybe. And this is the edge here of the seat. Or actually, it's the edge of the other panel that's screwed over the top of it, so the sun never shined on this. All the details there and everything, but there's a ridge here. The detail is mostly lost. Right there. So I'll have to sand this down a little bit. You won't be able to notice it, but I will sand it a little bit. Got a piece of trim over there on the house. It's getting ready to fall off, but what I can do about it. But that's, I mean, this is stuff that is too far gone to save or use, but I can't replace it, so I have to use it. I did blast this light fixture. It is super thin now. See, to the point that there's a hole in it. And then all this dark color, the blaster used iron oxide for glass media. And so I think that's what did that. But this, hopefully I can sand it and put it back out and paint it white. And use it, or just clear coat it and use it maybe in the back. But I honestly think I can find a new one. My door buckets here, they came out all right. I need to get the wire brush on the inside. See, that's a prime example. Shifter. And here this is the panel we tried with the torch. I still need to get in that corner there and hit it with a wire brush, but up here you got all the detail. Down here not so much, as much. It's all warped now, but it's still usable. I might hit it with the torch on the backside and see if I can get some of the warp out. But I'm still going to call that a success. Some gray Scotch Brite will clean it up pretty good. I'll hit some of those spots with some sandpaper. But yeah, it'll all get painted. Alrighty, so it is Thursday. I'm on my way to work. I didn't get everything accomplished this weekend, Tuesday, Wednesday, that I wanted to, because it was cold and miserable and damp and just gross, crappy. And I got the back half of the wagon ready to be mated. Get your minds out of the gutter. I didn't get started on the sedan. I don't think I did anything on the sedan. I didn't get started on that. But as you saw, I was successful at the sandblasting I did get the door welded up, and so now the next step on that, there's a couple little cracks I gotta weld still, and there's the one spot where the hinge got pinched. I'm gonna put a little bead on that and grind it back. Nothing that's gonna warp anything, hopefully, but I gotta do those two little things, and then I can, you know, grind it down, fill it, start doing the body work on it. I should hopefully have it done in 3 more classes, maybe. Just in time for class to end. But I got a door out of it. Anyway. Well, hopefully next week, the weather's supposed to be hot. It's supposed to be like 90 on Tuesday. So that shouldn't hinder me much. It shouldn't hinder me. I should be able to get the sedan into position. I did get the front half of the wagon trimmed up and moved. I want to save that front half, or at least, you know, the engine bay, back to the transmission mount. That way I can mock up the engine swap. So I can take the A2.3 and the A4LD and put them in that car, modify the transmission mount, modify the engine mounts, make sure it's going to clear the hood with the turbo and everything. Get all that done, and then take that cross member that I just modified and put it in the wagon. Just bolt it right up, and then I'll get started wiring everything, you know, all that good stuff. So I still have to roll that or haul that thing around the back of the building. I'm gonna put it up on blocks or something, I don't know, but and then the one section of the floor that's all rotten, it's just gonna go to scrap. So I should be able to get started on the sedan body next week. I should hopefully make some progress. I'm gonna go gung-ho at it in the beginning. So I'm gonna cut the roof, I'm gonna cut the floor above the back seat bottom portion where it comes up almost to the top, where the frame rail comes up and the trunk, you know, levels off. I'll cut it up in there. So I still need to pull the drive shaft, pull the fuel lines and brake line and everything. I accidentally cut the damn thing that was on the other one, which is fine because they were all old anyway, but I need to move all that stuff. I am going to be very careful with the B-pillars because there's a pretty good sized welded bead up on the roof section that I don't know how I'd get in there to cut it. I had to take a chisel and I'm going to ruin a bunch of stuff anyway, and then I think there's some cracks in the 71 because there's only half the weld. So I'm just going to drill the spot welds and remove it, but I'm going to keep it intact rather than cut it. I think the other one, there's enough meat there to be safe and reliable, and I don't think it'll rust out anymore, but I don't like it being rusty. So there's that. But anyway, that's next week. I gotta get to work, and I will see you guys next time.